Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. This story will change the way you see quiet moments forever. Let's begin. The sound that ruined everything wasn't shouting. It wasn't glass breaking or a slammed door. It was a laugh. Light, playful, familiar in the worst possible way. And it came from my wife, at the wrong table. I was 2 steps from surprising her. She thought I'd be late. I told her I got stuck at work, but I was actually down the block holding flowers and a letter I rewrote 5 times. 10 years married. 10 years of ups and downs. I thought I'd put all of it into one perfect dinner. And then I saw her. Not just her. Him. They were already seated, facing each other, candles flickering between them like some twisted anniversary parody. She was twirling her hair, laughing in that way that used to be mine. That laugh I hadn't heard in months. Not since she started working late, twice a week, and locking her phone like it held state secrets. I froze near the bar, hidden by a tall wine display. The maitre d' was still holding the reservation under my name. The one I made 3 weeks ago when she said she wanted to reconnect. That's when she leaned in and said it, clear as if she whispered it in my own ear. He's sweet, but predictable. I need something that makes me feel something again. I stood there, holding the envelope that said for us. I remember looking at it like it might rewrite itself. Maybe the paper would burst into flames and save me from this moment. It didn't. Instead, I walked past them like a ghost. She didn't even see me. Her hand was resting on his. Their fingers linked. I left the letter with the bartender and asked him to give it to her in 20 minutes, when she'd start wondering where I was. I didn't sign it with my name. Just one sentence on the outside. Tonight was our 10th year. I hope the laugh was worth it. Then I walked out into the cold and didn't stop walking. It's strange how time slows down in moments that crush you. I didn't go home that night. I didn't even call anyone. I just drove. For hours. No music. No destination. Just the hum of the engine and a hollow ache in my chest that refused to settle. When I finally stopped, I was parked in an empty grocery store lot at 2:47 a.m., staring at the same dashboard I used to sing with her in front of, back when we had dreams and not secrets. I didn't expect to hear from her right away. In fact, I wasn't sure if she'd say anything at all. But at 3:11 a.m., my phone lit up. One new voicemail. No missed call. Just a message. I hesitated for a long time before pressing play. Her voice was shaking. Curtis, I don't know what you think you saw, but please come home. We need to talk. I read the letter. I didn't know you felt all that. I didn't think you cared anymore. Didn't think I cared? I poured every ounce of my heart into that letter. I spent weeks writing it. Every night, while she was out jogging or getting air, I was rewriting paragraphs about how we met, the dumb songs we used to sing in the kitchen, how she used to fall asleep on my chest and leave mascara prints on my shirts. I told her I wanted to start over. Travel together again. Try for a baby. Or maybe adopt. I even said I'd leave my job if it meant less stress for us. But she thought I didn't care. I didn't reply. I turned my phone off and spent the rest of the night sitting in silence, watching fog collect on the inside of the windshield. The next day, I stayed with my brother Miles, who offered me a spare key without asking questions. He's not the emotional type. He just handed me a beer, turned on the game, and let me exist. That silence was louder than anything she'd said to me in months. That evening, I got another message. This time it was a photo. It was the letter I gave her, unfolded on our dining room table. Next to it, the torn petals of the flower I had picked out for her. No caption. No explanation. It was like she was trying to say she got the message. But the silence only made things worse. A few hours later, she showed up at Miles's house. I don't know how she found the address. Maybe through an old envelope or a shared insurance paper. She stood outside, in the rain, holding her phone like it had answers. I didn't open the door. I watched her through the blinds as she typed something furiously into her screen. Then, seconds later, my phone buzzed. Another text. Can we please talk? Just for 5 minutes. I stared at the message, thumb hovering over the screen. I typed, "What were you going to tell him after dinner?" Then I hit send. She read it instantly, but she never replied. And that, somehow, was worse than any lie. I waited all night for her to reply. Nothing. Not even a seen notification. And still, I kept checking my phone every 15 minutes like some pathetic teenager waiting for a crush to text back. Except this wasn't some crush. This was my wife. The woman who used to call me at work just to hear my voice. The same woman who now couldn't find a single word to defend herself. By morning, I was a mess. I hadn't slept. I couldn't eat. My brother had gone to work, and I was just pacing his living room like a ghost in borrowed socks. I kept replaying that moment in the restaurant in my head. The way her fingers curled around the wine glass, the little tilt of her head, the way she looked at him like he was the only man in the world. I thought about driving home just to look her in the eyes. Ask her who he was. Ask her if I was just a placeholder all these years. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. I didn't trust what I'd say if she answered the door and smiled like everything was fine. I was afraid of losing control, and I've never been the man who yells or breaks things. I'm the man who overthinks, who overfeels, who lets pain sit and rot instead of burning it out. Around 10 a.m., I finally got a response. But not from her. It was from an unknown number. "Curtis, this is Darren. I think we should talk." Darren. The name didn't register right away. But then it hit me. He was the guy she used to work with years ago. I remembered his name because she once mentioned him when we were watching a movie. Said he was the only person in her office who liked the same indie band we did. I never thought much of it. Why would I? That was 6 years ago. Before our mortgage. Before her promotion. That came with all those late nights and sudden meetings. I didn't respond. I blocked the number. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. This time from her. "I didn't mean for you to find out like that. Please let me explain. Darren just wants to apologize too. We didn't plan for this." Didn't plan for this? Like it was an accident. Like it just happened. Like she tripped into someone else's arms and forgot to stand back up. I didn't know what to say anymore. So I did the most honest thing I could. I grabbed the same notepad I used for the anniversary letter, ripped out a page, and wrote one sentence. "If you ever loved me, tell me why this started." Then I drove to the house. I didn't ring the doorbell. I didn't knock. I slid the note under the door, got back in my car, and left. She didn't text back that day, or the next. But on the third day, something unexpected happened. A package showed up at Miles's house. No return address. Inside was a small velvet box, the one I had kept in my nightstand for years. It held the promise ring I gave her the day we moved in together. Alongside it, there was a flash drive. No note. No explanation. Just a cold metal rectangle and a broken promise. I didn't open it right away, because deep down, I already knew what it contained. I stared at the flash drive for nearly an hour. I kept flipping it over in my fingers, wondering what kind of truth it could possibly contain. It sat on the coffee table like a ticking time bomb. Not loud, not obvious, but dangerous in the way quiet things often are. I told myself I wanted answers. I wrote her that note. "If you ever loved me, tell me why this started." But now that I had the chance to find out, I hesitated. Because some truths aren't bridges, they're cliffs. And once you jump, there's no way back to solid ground. I finally plugged it into my brother's laptop. My palms were sweating, and my heartbeat was so loud it drowned out every other sound in the room. The flash drive held only one file, a video, labeled with a date. 2 months ago, the week after our 9th anniversary. I clicked play. The screen flickered to life, and there she was. My wife, sitting on the edge of our bed. She looked nervous, her hands fidgeting in her lap. Her hair was pulled back into a loose bun, and she wore the hoodie I bought her for Christmas last year. I almost smiled, until she started speaking. "Curtis, if you're watching this, then I guess it means I messed everything up. Again." Her voice cracked. Not from tears, not yet, but from something worse. Guilt. "I don't know how to say this without sounding like a monster. I never planned to cheat on you. I didn't go looking for Darren. I didn't even expect to see him again after he left the company. But when he messaged me last fall, something shifted. I didn't respond at first. I swear I didn't. But I thought about it. Every day. More than I should have." She paused, biting her lower lip. I recognized the gesture. She always did it when she was scared she'd say the wrong thing. I think I felt invisible. You were always kind, always steady. But somewhere in all that comfort, I felt like I disappeared. Darren made me feel noticed again. Desired. Like I wasn't just someone's wife, someone's laundry, someone's future plan. I wanted to scream. I wanted to reach through the screen and shake her. "I noticed you. I always did. I just thought we were safe. I thought loving someone quietly still counted." The video continued. I never meant to meet him in person. But after a while, I stopped resisting. "The truth is, I needed to feel like I mattered again. And the moment I saw your letter at the restaurant, I realized what I'd done, what I destroyed. She looked directly at the camera now. I know this doesn't fix anything, but I needed you to hear it from me before someone else twisted it. Before Darren tried to spin it like some romantic story. It wasn't. It was me, making 100 small choices that led to the one night you'll never forgive. And then, just like that, the video ended. No apology. No tears. No excuses. Just silence. I closed the laptop. And for the first time since I walked out of that restaurant, I didn't feel confused. I didn't feel hopeful. I felt empty. Because I realized something worse than betrayal. She didn't love Darren. She just stopped loving me. The day after I watched the video, I didn't speak to anyone. Not my brother, not my coworkers, not even the barista who gave me the wrong coffee. I just drifted. I kept thinking if I stayed quiet long enough, maybe the world would forget I existed, the way she did. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even curse her name. I just existed in that gray space between numb and nauseated. Like everything inside me was bruised, but still pretending to work. That night, around 11, I got another text. This time, it wasn't just words. It was a photo. Our wedding photo. Cropped. Just her, smiling into the wind, standing on that bridge in Vermont where we promised each other always. Under it, a single line. Can we talk before you decide what's next? I stared at it for a long time. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did. I'd already decided. I just didn't know if I had the strength to say it aloud. I typed. There's nothing left to say. But I didn't hit send. Instead, I grabbed my keys and drove. Not to her. Not to the house. To the one place I hadn't been since this all began, my parents' cabin by the lake. I used to hate that place growing up. No Wi-Fi, no cable, no neighbors for miles. But that night, it was the only place that didn't carry her shadow. I got there after midnight. The air smelled like pine and stillness. I unlocked the rusted door, walked inside, and collapsed on the old couch covered in dusty blankets. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up the next morning to a knock on the door. I should have ignored it, but I opened it, and there she was. No makeup, no umbrella, just soaked hair, red eyes, and the kind of expression that people only wear when they've lost something permanent. You left your phone on, she said softly. I tracked it here. I didn't mean to scare you. You didn't scare me, I muttered. You broke me. She looked down. I know. There was a long pause. One of those silences that feels like it stretches across every year of your marriage. Then she stepped forward and said the one thing I never expected. I didn't sleep with him. I blinked. Why does that matter? She hesitated. Because I thought you'd want to know I didn't cross that line. Which one? I snapped. The emotional affair? The lying? The rewriting of our marriage while I wrote you love letters? Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't flinch. Not this time. I came here for closure, she whispered. I shook my head. Closure's just a polite word for permission. Her voice cracked. Then what do you want, Curtis? I took a long breath. Not because I needed air, but because I needed control. I want peace. And I can't find it in a house built on silence and half-truths. I want to wake up and not wonder who you really are when I'm not in the room. Her shoulders dropped like something in her finally gave up pretending. So that's it, she asked. No, I said. That's the beginning. Then I stepped back and closed the door. This time, she didn't knock again. After she left the cabin, I sat there in the silence for a long time. No yelling. No crying. Just that awful ringing in your ears that comes when your mind's trying to process something your heart refuses to accept. I had shut the door, but the weight of her still lingered like perfume on an old shirt. I kept telling myself it was over, that I had finally taken the first step toward healing. But something inside me still felt unfinished, like there was a loose thread I hadn't pulled. I stayed at the cabin for 2 more days. I turned my phone off, avoided emails, ignored the world. I chopped what I didn't need and boiled coffee I didn't drink. I kept finding things to do just so I wouldn't think about her face at that door, or the way her voice broke when she said she hadn't slept with him. But it was on the 3rd night that I cracked. I opened my phone again. And there it was, not a text, not a voicemail, but a calendar reminder I had set months ago. Dinner reservation, September 14th, 7 p.m., her favorite. The same night I caught her. Somehow that reminder, still sitting there like a monument to my stupidity, hurt worse than anything she'd said. I could feel it again. The way I'd stood there rehearsing lines I never got to say. The way I'd imagined her smiling when I handed her the envelope. I shut my phone off again and stared at the ceiling until morning. The next day, I drove back to the house. Not to talk, not to see her, just to pack. I was done dragging this out. Miles had already offered me his basement for as long as I needed it, and I didn't want to spend another night surrounded by memories that now felt like set dressing in someone else's play. The house was quiet when I entered. No shoes at the door, no candle lit in the kitchen. I walked straight to our bedroom, avoiding the photos on the walls like landmines. I grabbed my suitcase from the closet and started loading it with clothes. Shirts, jeans, the hoodie she used to steal when she was cold. And that's when I saw it. The drawer, bottom one, left side of the dresser. Always stuck. She used to complain about it, and I kept saying I'd fix it. But I never did. And now, for some reason, I pulled it open with more force than usual, and it slid free. Inside were receipts. Dozens of them. Coffee shops we never visited. Hotels we never stayed in. Even a spa package, for two. Each one like a quiet betrayal, time-stamped and printed on thermal paper. And tucked in the very back, behind the folded spa brochure, was a photo. Not explicit, not even romantic. Just the two of them, her and Darren, sitting in a park, sipping coffee, smiling at the camera. He had his arm around her. She didn't push it away. It wasn't the photo that gutted me. It was the date on the back. March 17th. Our anniversary. She had spent the morning with me. We'd had brunch at that little place near the bookstore. She held my hand and told me how lucky she was. Then she changed clothes, made an excuse about errands, and took him to the park. I dropped the photo. It fluttered to the floor like a piece of my sanity breaking off. So no, she hadn't just started talking to him last fall. This had been going on far longer. Her timeline was a lie. Her guilt? Selective. And that video? A carefully rehearsed performance designed to make her look broken instead of cruel. I sat on the bed, surrounded by my half-packed bag, and realized I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. I didn't take much with me when I left the house. Just what I needed. The rest, wedding albums, anniversary keepsakes, even my favorite worn-out flannel she used to call ridiculous, I left behind without a second glance. I didn't even lock the door when I walked out. I figured if she wanted to keep living in fiction, she might as well have access to all the props. The drive to Miles's place felt longer than usual, like the roads were punishing me for staying too long in denial. But when I got there, something strange happened. I didn't collapse. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just unpacked, folded my clothes, and made myself a sandwich like a man coming home from a business trip, not a marriage implosion. Miles was working late, which gave me time to sit in silence and think, something I'd been avoiding since this all began. But I wasn't thinking about her anymore. I was thinking about me, about how I let things slide, how I ignored red flags because I was too scared to seem controlling, how I wrote love letters while she wrote exit strategies, and most of all, how I became the kind of man who mistook survival for happiness. Later that night, I did something I never thought I would. I called Darren. I found his number in my phone's blocked list and unblocked it just long enough to dial. It rang twice before he answered. His voice was cautious, maybe even a little panicked. "Curtis." "Yeah," I said flatly. "It's me." He didn't speak right away, so I kept going. "I'm not calling to threaten you. I'm not even calling to ask why. I already know why." She told me. She said you made her feel something again. Like she mattered. He cleared his throat. "Curtis, I swear. I don't care." I cut him off. "I just want you to understand one thing. She was my wife, not yours. She wore a ring I gave her. Slept in a house I built for her. Shared a name she said she'd never change. And the entire time you were making her feel noticed, I was still showing up. Still believing in her. Still believing in us." He didn't reply. "You didn't steal her," I continued. "She walked. And now she's your problem. So if she tells you she's confused, or that she just needs time, or that she's not sure what she wants, remember that she already had someone who loved her enough to forgive the cracks. And she shattered him anyway." I hung up before he could answer. I didn't feel better. This wasn't catharsis. It was clarity, and clarity hurts more than anger because it doesn't leave room for hope. Later that evening, my phone lit up again. This time it was an email. Subject: I read your note. No message body. Just an attachment. A scanned copy of my handwritten letter from the restaurant. The ink was smudged near the bottom. A teardrop, maybe. Or spilled wine. Hard to say. I stared at it, heart pounding for reasons I couldn't explain. Then I noticed something strange. She had circled one line in red. "I still believe in the version of us that dances barefoot in the kitchen." Underneath, she had typed one sentence in response. He never danced with me. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was typical. A subtle rewrite of history to make herself the victim. She wanted me to believe she had missed something I refused to give, when in reality, she stopped asking long before she stopped trying. I didn't reply. I closed the email, shut off my phone, and walked outside to breathe in the cold, honest night air. That was the first moment I felt like I was no longer waiting for her. A month passed. Not dramatically. Not with fireworks or some emotional monologue on a rainy night. Just quietly. Like how fall turns into winter. You don't notice it until one day you step outside and everything feels different. I never responded to her email. Never reached out again. She tried a few more times, a voicemail here, a just thinking of you text there, but I stopped opening them. Not out of bitterness. Just peace. The kind you only find after you finally accepted that not every apology deserves a reply. I focused on myself. I picked up running again. Started cooking actual meals instead of microwaving sadness. I even found an old sketchbook I hadn't touched in years and started drawing again. It felt strange at first, making something that wasn't about her, or us, or what we used to be. Just me. My lines. My pace. My life. Miles and I talked more than we had in years. He didn't push, didn't ask for details. He just showed up. And for once, I let someone in without feeling like I had to perform strength I didn't feel. But the moment I knew I was healing came unexpectedly. I was walking through the park, the same one from that photo I found, when I saw an older couple dancing to music from a Bluetooth speaker. Just swaying, nothing fancy. The kind of dance you don't do to impress anyone. And I smiled. Not with pain, not with longing, but with hope. Because I finally understood something I hadn't before. She didn't destroy love for me. She just wasn't my love story. And that's okay. The real tragedy would have been staying in something that only resembled love on the outside. Now, I get to find something real. Something honest. Something barefoot in the kitchen that doesn't need to be circled in red ink to mean something. So this is it. The last page of the letter she never got to finish reading. I'm done trying to fix what wasn't mine to carry. And maybe, just maybe, I'm ready to start over. Now it's your turn. Tell me, what moment in this story hit you the hardest? Was it the restaurant, the flash drive, or that final note? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you've ever rebuilt yourself from heartbreak, we want to hear how. Thanks for following this journey on Reddit Confessions. Sometimes endings hurt, but that's what makes beginnings possible.